Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory and infinite praises to the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing His word in truth and sincerity. For this lesson, I'm going to continue on my breakdown of the book of Sirach. Currently, right now, I am on Sirach, the 26th chapter. I may finish it, I may not. We'll see how the Spirit flows. Right, I'm gonna just read the precepts, let the precepts speak, and Adoratazah, Lord willing, this lesson's edifying. Sirach 26, verse 1, it says, "Blessed is the man that have a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be double." Right, so blessed is the man who has a virtuous wife, meaning a wife who fears the Most High, right? A wife who her desire is to see her husband win. Right, that's her desire, right? To make the life of her husband much more rest or much more peaceful, right? Any individual, any man who has that type of woman will be considered extremely blessed, right? Because any woman that you decide to be in a relationship with, you spend a lot of time with her, and a lot of your inner space is with that woman, right? So you want your inner space to be peaceful, right? You want your woman to be a pillar of rest for you. Okay, so if your woman actually has that desire within her, that's an extremely beneficial position to be in. Now it says, verse 2, "A virtuous woman rejoiceth for her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace." Right, a virtuous woman rejoices her husband, which I just explained, right? Her desire is to be a peace for her husband, right? To help him when he needs help, right? And help him in ways that only a woman can help a man, right? So it says, "A virtuous woman rejoiceth for her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace." Straight to the point. Verse 3, it says, "A good wife is a good portion, which shall be given in the portion of them that fear the Lord," right? So if you fear the Most High will bless you with a woman, right? And if that woman is virtuous, that's just a gift from the Most High, right? Simple as that. I'm gonna read it in the GNT. GNT, it says, "A good wife is among the precious blessings given to those who fear the Lord." Verse 4, it says, "Whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart toward the Lord, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance." Right, so whether a man is rich or poor, if you have a good heart towards the Most High, right, you believe, right, in sincerity and in truth, you fear the Most High, you have the knowledge and understanding, right, you're doing what's right in the eyes of the Lord. It doesn't matter what state that you're in, right? It could be a poor state, it could be a rich state. You will always rejoice in the Heavenly Father, right? Your heart will always be at peace in Yahweh Shai. It says in Isaiah the 26th chapter, right? "He that keep his mind steady upon the Lord shall be in perfect peace," right? Philippians the 4th chapter, right? It says, don't worry about anything, right? But instead of pray about everything, right? Make your requests made known unto Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Let the Lord know exactly what you need. Thank Him for all He has done, and it says you're gonna receive a peace and a grounding given by Yahweh Shai, right? Through our faith in Yahweh Shai. So that's what it's saying. Verse 5, it says, "There be three things that my heart feareth, and for the fourth I was so afraid." Right, and as I mentioned, right, Sirach is full of a lot of wise sayings, proverbs, right, parables, how to live a righteous, godly life, right? So now it's transitioning to something else, and it's the 5th verse. It says, "There be three things that my heart feareth, and the fourth I was so afraid: the slander of a city, the gathering together of an unruly multitude, and a false accusation. All these are worse than death." Right, so those are things that are extremely dreadful to experience, right? What does it say? The slander of a city, right? An unruly multitude, right? A large number of people gathering together for your hurt, right? For your downfall, right? And it says in a false accusation, right? Being falsely accused for something that you did not do, and a whole bunch of people being in on it. Meaning that that the majority actually believes in the lie, and the truth isn't being spread, right? So those things right there are worse than death, right? It's very grievous to experience that. Verse 6 says, but a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicateth with all. Right? So a woman who's jealous over another woman, that's very grievous, right? Let's say, for example, right, Jacob, right? Jacob had multiple wives, right? And his wives they had infighting amongst the wives. Now for the man, right, that would be a sorrowful position to be in, right? Because you don't want to experience that. It says, an evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro. He that hath hold of her is as though he held a scorpion. Right? So it talked about a righteous wife, and then it spoke about an evil wife, right? Now, the virtuous wife is a blessing from the Most High, and then it says the evil wife is like holding a scorpion, right? What does a scorpion do? It hits you with a stinger. So it's not wise to have an evil wife always around you, right? Because they will be very grievous, and she wouldn't be a pillar of peace and rest as she's supposed to be, but instead opposite, and actually do more harm than good. Verse 8, a drunken woman and a gather abroad cause of great anger, and she would not cover her own shame, right? Going to women when they're drunk. It says, the whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids, right? You could tell how a woman is based off of her looks, right? Her eyelids. A lot of makeup is a clear giveaway. Lashes, the little things that they put on their eyes, right? Another precept in Sirach, it talks about, you can tell a lot about a person by the way they dress, right? It's not the end all be all, by the way they present themselves, right? So you can tell a lot about Eve by the way she presents herself. If she's dressing like a straight up harlot, then 10 times out of 10 that she's a harlot. Verse 10, if thy daughter be shameless, keep her straightly, lest she abuse herself through over much liberty. Once again, right, a lot of wise sayings on how to conduct wisely, right? It's saying if you have a daughter and she's shameless, meaning your daughter is prone to going off and doing like harlot type of stuff, then it'll be wise to keep her in straight, meaning have a lot of rules over her, right? Or watch over her a lot, because you don't want her to do something that, she's still young, she's a child. You don't want her to do something that she's going to end up regretting later on in the long run, right? You want to keep you want to instill virtuous morals into your family, right? So that's what you want to do with your daughter. If you know she has a tendency of being a harlot, you want to be strict with her. It says, watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. Right, so don't marvel if she trespass against you, right? Because you already saw the tendencies that she has, right? So she end up trespassing against you. Don't marvel, right? We know the tendency of women. We know how women are through the book, right? So we move accordingly. It says, she will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he have found a fountain and a drink of every water near her. By every head she will sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. Right, so this could be, for a shameless woman, right? Any shameless woman, harlots, right? Just like she would basically, have sex with any old person, right? Any person who's willing to lay down with her, she will lay down with that individual. It says, the grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. So now it's going into a virtuous woman once again, right? It spoke about shameless woman, right? A shameless daughter, their tendencies. A wicked woman, right? Their tendencies. Now it's going back into a virtuous woman. It says, the grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones, right? So the grace of a wife, understanding, right? Pillar of rest, will fatten his bones, right? Meaning she will be extremely beneficial to be with, right? A woman who has that type of energy and mindset. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed, right? So a woman who is silent, she's loving towards her husband. I already explained it, right? She has that type of desire towards her husband, that she wants to actually be a pillar of rest, right? Strengthen him, help him in any way that she knows that she can help him. It says what? She's a gift of the Most High, right? And a mind well instructed. And there is nothing much more worth as a mind well instructed, meaning she came up good, right? You can install morals and values within her, meaning she likes to follow your lead, right? That type of woman is a grace and a gift from the Most High. It says a shamefaced and faithful woman. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued, right? So a woman who's shamefaced, meaning well, let me see what that says, GNT, right? Because I can't put it in the words. I know what it means, but I can't necessarily put it in words. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued, right? So it's explaining how valuable a woman with that type of energy and mindset and desire towards her husband, how valuable that woman is, right? Verse 15, GNT, it says, a modest wife has endless charm, is a quality too precious to measure, right? So she knows how to be in her femininity while simultaneously having a desire towards her husband. I'm gonna read one more and that'll be the lesson. It says, as the sun when it ariseth in the high heaven, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house. I'm gonna read it GNT. I like how it's worded. It says, verse 16, it says, the beauty of a good wife in her well-kept home is like the noonday sun shining in the Lord's sky. So straight to the point, right? I'm gonna do a part 2 on this lesson. So with that, I want to give all honor and glory, infinite praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Echad Wadash. Shalom.